Thanks for tuning in to the Big Nose Podcast, a platform for me to nose into other people's business. On this podcast, I strive to share with you stories from a range of different people over various different topics. So, before my nose starts twitching any further, let's get down to business. Today I'm delighted to say that I am joined by Darren Kavanagh on the Big Nose Podcast for the first episode in this season 2. I came across Darren through my mother, who was a client of his many years ago and did wonderful things for her through the Ardmore Fit Club. From there, I followed Darren on Instagram, Facebook, and followed his journey. And there's no better person to talk to at the start of the year if you're looking to get a little bit fitter, a little bit better in your headspace. And I suppose that's why I contacted Darren, and Darren's here. I appreciate you coming on, Darren.
Thanks very much. That's a nice intro, and your mum was great to work with, and that's something we probably get into later on. It's not all about physical health. A big aspect of, I know your mum's is just getting out and exercising, and she met some good friends. I think she still talks to this day.
It's all about sense of community.
That's a massive part of what I do as well.
Sense of community. I suppose going back to where your interest in fitness came from and how did you get into it? I know you're big into sport, and you still are very big into sport, but in terms of yourself, your interest in fitness, where did it come from?
I suppose, well, like you said, I've played sport since I was 4 years old. Played football my whole life. I went to St. Fergus and St. Aidan's, who had two big, massive sports schools. I was blessed that I had some great teachers. I was never the best academically, but through St. Fergus, I had two great teachers, Mrs. O'Connor, who was passed away, and Mr. O'Connor, two fantastic teachers who my mum and dad still stay in touch with to this day. They're both massive into sport, and they kind of helped me get involved in the teams, and we had some good teams, so we were always involved in that. Then I moved on to St. Aidan's, and St. Aidan's was literally a carbon copy of St. Fergus, which was for older. We had amazing teachers, Mr. O'Neill, Vice Principal Mr. Waters, brilliant, and we kind of were looked after. Anyone that was kind of half academically a bit of a messer, but decent at sports, we were kind of looked after. Like, we were letting half days. And
the half days are great, weren't they? You could I'm going to play.
That's why I played half the sports.
Yeah, you had to go home for your gear, so that was about half an hour to get your gear, go home, and then come back and get the bus. And okay, you were late home, but there was some crack to be had, and like even from a sporting side of things, it was always good to get out and play a match. Like,
absolutely breaks up the kind of the monotony of school, where I actually, in fairness, I wasn't the most academic, but I did enjoy Fergus and Aidan's. I think both schools are schools I'd recommend to anyone, especially a boy, especially into the sport that kind of wants to be kept, because it's easy to get fed up with school and then start falling out with teachers, or start falling with the wrong people. So in a school with teachers that kind of care and that have sports to kind of back it up, it was kind of just keep going the straight and narrow, and that's pretty much what it done with me. Anyway, I left Aidan's with lots of fond memories, and I'd go back in a heartbeat to talk to many of the teachers, no problem whatsoever.
And that's good. That's what school, I think, and as we kind of get older ourselves and we look back at schools now, there's a lot more facilities in schools, a lot more indoor, a lot more clubs integrating with local clubs, with local schools as well, trying to feed them in terms of whether it's soccer, rugby, GAA, hurling, whatever it is. There's a real connection there between them, and I think when we were going to school, there was definitely it was the grassroots that was really starting to shine, and now you see, especially in the GAA, the link between the schools and the clubs is absolutely massive. When you left Aidan's, I suppose, was it something that you wanted to progress in terms of a career? Was it something that interested you in, or how did you go about that?
I left school knowing I wanted to do something to do with sports. I've done my Leaving Cert, which I scraped through, but it's skin of my teeth, but got through anyway. And I was halfway through the summer, I still didn't know what I wanted to do. I had a massive interest in kind of coaching, I thought I wanted to be like a development officer, or like for the GAA or FEI. So I went to do a course, Sports and Leisure Management at Nichicor College, and very similar to the one at Closh Ida. Again, struggled through it slightly. I remember the last 20 days of 21 assignments to do, and I'll never forget the stress, but I got them done anyway and passed the course. But while I was in the course, there's a big emphasis on like the coaching aspect and a big emphasis on the sport, on like the gym aspect, and I was never interested in the gym. I kind of just got through the courses, scraped through on merits and stuff. got through them, but I had much more of an interest in the coaching. I thought that's where I done all my work experience with like the FEI. I done a bit with Eamon Fennell, done a bit with Dennis Hull in the FEI, so I had my mind set on that. But when I finished that course, I came out and I was like, right, there's not much jobs in Ireland for this. That's probably one of the bad things about like what they're not teaching. Like sports, it's great to get into, but it's not a whole lot of work out there unless you're willing to put in the work yourself and maybe create something.
Yeah.
So I was looking around and I was like, there's no FEI jobs, there's no GAA jobs, what am I going to do? So at the time I was working in a sports crash out in Concealy, which I did love at the time. Basically like an after school club that ran through sports.
Yeah.
But I knew I liked it, but it wasn't a career for me. So I read the paper one day and I seen boot camp Bourne were looking for people to take on. So I was like, happy days. He said, looking for Arte and Kulak. So I picked the phone and rang them. And I was like, how are you? I was talking for 5, 10, 15 minutes. And they were like, do you have all your own equipment? And I was like, a few bits. I kind of spoofed it a bit.
Yeah, of course.
I had a few ladders and a few dumbbells. And spoke for 10, 15 minutes. I'm like, yeah, great. We'll get you set up. And I was like, grand. So I had to do all the advertising, all the setup, all the insurance. And like, yeah, and we'll pay you $10 an hour.
Wow.
So I was like, so you want me to do all of this work and then you get paid and you pay me $10 an hour? So all of the phones like, do you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to do it on my own. And everyone was like, Darby, fuck off. Don't do that. Like, everyone was kind of laughing at me, my mates and all. So this is going to be before boot camps were big and before they were kind of that popular. And I had no premises, very little equipment. And I set up a Facebook page, got all my friends to like and share it, and said I was doing a session in Ardmore Park at 8 o'clock on a Wednesday night. And no, sorry, it wasn't. It was a Monday night. It was a bank holiday. And I'll never forget how nervous I was. But 11 people showed up on the night, 5 ahead. So there I was, me 19, 55 quid for the hour. I was absolutely chuffed. And it literally snowballed off. Like, I was blessed. It really took off.
Yeah,
and like, we were out in the rain. We were jumping through ladders.
It's something like you're basically starting off as your own business person. Okay, this crowd were coming on board and they were kind of employing you, but at the same time you were grafting, you were putting the work in, you had to get everything together, find a space, insurance, advertise, as you said, get the name out there. And I suppose that's not something you learn about in school, and that's not something about you learn about academically in terms of how to physically get yourself out there, how to acquire insurance, how to go about setting up a business, but you managed to do it yourself.
Yeah, trial and error, let's say. Like, so a lot of the stuff where I learned this stuff from now is podcasts like this. Like, I listen to Brian Keane, to James Smith.
Very good, yeah.
And they're people who I've looked to now who have been in my position 5, 6, 7, 8 years ago, kind of making a small name and doing okay, but then trying to bring it to the next level. Like, you don't get taught about marketing, you don't get taught about like tax, you don't get taught about how to sell, how to set up websites, all this kind of stuff. So most of the people in my position are people who scraped through school because they're good at sports and had a bit of crack with the teachers, and then were expected to go and run their own business, as well as the other stuff, help people learn more about nutrition and all that kind of stuff. So there's two sides to the coin that you have to look at the whole time.
Yeah, absolutely. And I suppose you would probably say your coaching was a part of what you were really interested in, and I suppose maybe it makes you a people person, so it's easier maybe to get people on board with you. And you said, I know starting off anything in a small podcast like this, or when you were starting up your boot camps, they weren't very popular, but it was through friends, family, and word of mouth. Yeah. And it, as we'll speak about a little bit later, a sense of community and helping it out and how it develops then going forward, you know, into a business or a place you can like get your employment out of, and at the same time do something you actually really, really enjoy. In terms of to 2020 and moving a bit on to now, I suppose the biggest thing we take away from 2020 was that exercise became very important for everybody's mental health. And do you think this was something that you've seen through your clients and people who you were chatting to in terms of the stress that we've gone through in the last, say, 10 months, nearly a year at this stage?
Look, there's no doubt about it. It plays a massive part. I don't speak about it a whole lot because, touch wood, I've been blessed that I've never had a mental health issue. I suffered anxiety for a couple of years, which was not crippling either, so I don't talk about it all that much. A lot of people throw it around this mental health and they don't know what to talk about. So for me, I do think it has a massive impact from talking to people from their point of view. People come to me saying, the Zoom classes, even though 3 times a week, they just kept me saying, or Dar, just you posting stuff motivational kept me sane, or Dar, just getting out for a walk 30 minutes 4 days a week has kept me sane. I think it has a massive impact on everything basically. So what I'm trying to home to people is forget about your calories and forget about your perfect workout. Now is a time where you just need to move and look after your body, nourish your body, because people are stressed out and people are suffering mental health issues. But unless you're giving yourself the best possible chance by exercising, by eating relatively well, by trying to sleep and get outside, you're not giving yourself a chance. And I think you have to find that little bit of grit as well to say, like today I was on the couch, I was like, I didn't want to go, and I went for a run, and I swear to God since then I felt so much better. I've got 5 messages on my phone after people like, oh, I'm there, I'm seeing that I'm going to do myself. That gives me a buzz. That sets me up for leaving my kids, my wife, all that kind of stuff. And it's just a knock-on effect. You'll never regret doing some sort of exercise, whether it's walking or golfing or whatever it is. Just getting out and moving is absolutely key to your health and mental health.
Especially this morning when we all woke up and we saw a couple of inches of snow outside, and we were like, here, I'll close the curtains, get back under the duvet, and here, just write the day off.
I looked out and I was like, this can't be happening. I said 2021, like 6 days in and snowing and we're locked down. I was like, what is going on?
Absolutely.
This is the end of the world.
the end of the world. At the end of the world, we know, like with as you said, 6 days in, and we'll be giving up our 7-day trial of this year. Once it's all over.
Saying that Instagram,
yeah. Another thing, and this is more down your field, and I know, as you said, the mental health isn't something that is banded about the place, and you're not an expert. I'm not an expert. I suppose from my point of view, it's about getting away from the loneliness and maybe getting outside your own head, and sometimes getting out and talking. And that's maybe why I've started to use this podcast as a platform to have conversations and chats with people. But in terms of fitness, the important role of nutrition and food within your diet that helps your body, give you the energy to do what you need to do, but also the types of food and then what you're consuming. Like, I know the phrase as I was growing up, you are what you eat, and I think the more I'm getting older and the less likely I am to be losing weight naturally and having to put in a little bit of work, I have to be more conscious of what I'm putting into my body. And I know that's something that you're really, 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 really a big advocate of.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, for me, food is king. Like, I talk about exercise the whole time. I tell my clients anyway that exercising is, people are getting caught up that you need to exercise to lose weight. Exercise is to make yourself a bit stronger, a bit fitter, a bit healthier, and to clear the head. Okay, that's all exercise is for. Yes, it does burn calories, but not as much as you think. Okay, food is absolutely king when it comes to, first of all, your weight loss. It's absolute king. It depends on how much calories you put in your body. It's, people talk about just calorie deficit. It's king. It's a law. It's physics. It's not like a fad diet. It's not a keto. It's not a intermittent fasting. It's the laws of thermodynamics. So if you eat less calories in your body takes in, you will lose weight, and that's just a fact. But that's only one aspect of fitness. That's only weight loss. That's not nourishing your body. That's not becoming healthy. That's not putting vitamins and minerals in your body. That's not fueling your body for runs or fueling your bodies for workouts. So there's so many different aspects. I always tell people there's 2 Venn diagrams, 2 circles. One circle on the left is fat loss. That's literally calories. One circle on the right is your sleep, your stress, your food quality, your food time. I just need to put those 2 together. And that's the best way to explain it for me, for most Gen Pop, because a lot of people think you need to eat clean to lose weight, when in fact eating clean can be counterproductive in ways, because a lot of people eat clean Monday to Friday, absolutely hate it, and then binge Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
Hands up.
Come the next week to actually up weight. So we've done it. I do it. You do it. You're laughing there. I see it.
I do it.
Anyone listening to this podcast definitely has done it, and we've all done it. So we need to get away from this whole eating clean, because it's not good for your mind either, because you're setting yourself up for losses. I always tell people 80-20. 80% of your food can come from decent quality foods, like good quality protein sources, fruits, vegetables, good carb sources. Then 20%, have your beer, have your wine, have your crisps, switch off, have your bag of Aeros or whatever you're having, Whisper Bites on a Saturday, chalk it off and move on. Okay, it's not a bad thing to have them now and again, but obviously you're looking for the main chunk of your foods to come from good quality. Yeah,
because I think one of the biggest guilty things I'm up to is when the guilt sets in. Sure, I'm halfway through a packet of biscuits, I might as well finish them, it's and then all of a sudden, it's a weekend later and I'm like, why am I not down a few kilos or whatever, or a few grams or whatever it is, or pounds, depending on your preference. So yeah, I think we're all guilty of that. And someone explained it to me in terms of calories. If you want to lose weight, sometimes it's a mathematics. If you pour more calories in than you burn off, you're going to gain weight, and if you don't, then you'll lose weight or you'll maintain. And I suppose, as you said, if you want to break it down into its simplicity, that's what it is. But as you said, between the balance of depending on your body type and where you are at in terms of your own fitness, depending on what you eat and the level of exercise, it's a complete marriage between the two that will ultimately get you where you want to be.
Absolutely, yeah. And this is my whole thing. Is with clients is education. I don't do meal plans. I don't really do that many 4 or 6 week challenges. A lot of my clients are with me. Some of them with me since your mum has been training me 10 years ago. A lot of the stuff I do is I teach clients the absolute basics of nutrition, so that then they can make up their own mind. So like, no one diets 52 weeks of the year, and people that think they can diet 52 weeks of the year are usually not even down any weight. So what I tell people is there's times to diet, times not. Like, you could have a summer holiday coming up, you could have 6 weeks coming up, you might diet then. Over the summer, you might want to not diet and sit around, have a few beers, have a barbecue, knock out your calories. January, when there's nothing else happening, is it a good time to diet? Yeah, you've overindulged the last 3, 4, 5 weeks at least. It's a chance where pubs are usually quiet, people usually aren't going out, people are broke, so it's a good time to diet.
Yeah.
But like, Christmas is not a good time to diet, or like 2-week crash diet before holiday is not a good idea. So I like to teach my clients as much as I possibly can, that then they can leave it themselves whether they want to track calories or not track calories, whether they want to eat really well or eat clean or 80-20. So then it's up to them, and it's not mad pressure on them, or it's not like, they know themselves if they really want it, they can, and if they don't want it, it's not just massive pressure, me nailing them, why aren't you losing weight, why aren't you doing this, why aren't you doing that? Because everyone's on different journeys. Some people are there to lose weight, some people are just there, like you said, for the company, some people are there to get stronger, some people are there for sport specific, and I have all them on one group. So you're trying to find that balance.
Yeah, I suppose in 2020, as I said earlier, it was a challenging year, not just for everybody, but if you look at your industry, gyms, workout places, leisure centres, we're all closed, groups couldn't gather like we are now, and Zoom workouts became a thing of how people communicate like we are. And businesses like yourselves had to adapt, and I know what you did online is very good, but in terms of the feedback you got or how you found it yourself in terms of adapting, could you ever saw something like that ever happening in terms of yourself and supplying your service or to your clients?
Absolutely not. Like, I never thought, like, even I remember sitting there the day of lockdown, and I sat there and I was like, what am I going to do? Because again, I'm like you, I'm not amazing online, like compared to a computer. My best qualities are usually within chatting to people, being in a group, getting the feel of the room, knowing people are down, knowing people need to kick up the hole. And it's a lot hard to do online. It's a lot hard to kind of gauge people's emotions. You're texting people instead of seeing them face to face. Zoom served such a purpose though. So without Zoom, I would probably be back working in a different job now. So it did save my career, my job I suppose. And we just had to adapt. I remember sitting there and I was like Googling, right, what am I going to do? And I came across Zoom. I was like, it took me about to sitting there in our next door neighbour's house, like trying to Google, trying to get Sinead sending the links in, this works, that work. And it took me a while to find it, but you just have to find it. Otherwise, you'd sink our swim time. And at the end of the day, we have a lot of clients waiting us, not just my own ones. I work really closely with the gym owner, Stewie. So I have a big say in what goes on with the class and stuff. So I wasn't just looking after my own clients, I was looking after the gym clients as well. So there's a group of 50, 60, 70 clients that were at a loose end, and we need to find something to help them. Because at the end of the day, like, personal trainers are not these people that walk around with six packs anymore and slash your calories and kill you with a prowler. Personal trainers are now counsellors, personal trainers are now friends, personal trainers are agony aunts. We're not just there to help people lose weight, we're here for everything, to listen to their worries so they can give out their husband, give out their wives, give out their kids. They can have an hour away from doing housework, they can have an hour away from everything and just be normal and chat to people. And that's what our job is. So we didn't want to just start throwing Zoom classes on and leave it at that. We done some quizzes, we had a counsellor doing mental health stuff, we had loads of different stuff going on as well, because we knew it's not just the fitness aspect we need to look after, we need to look after our minds, our bodies, and the social aspect as well. Absolutely.
So do you think going forward, like hopefully now we'll get the vaccine into us, we'll see cases going down, and come the summertime might be too bad, but come next winter, do you think this Zoom online platform is a threat to the gyms and the leisure centres out there, or is it possibly an opportunity to reach out to people who might not be comfortable coming into group sessions that might be able to dial in through the Zoom?
Yeah, I genuinely don't think it's a threat. I think if anything else, I think people have realised how important the actual gym is itself. Like, I think people have realised they come to get away from their worries. Like, when you, like, if you're doing a Zoom class, just say, for example, your mother, for example, she's still in the house. She's still, as soon as you finish her workout, it's going to be still there. Like, at least a lot of people get in their car, drive 10 minutes. Then they meet their friends, they do their workout, 10 minutes after, they might get a coffee on the way home. And it's 2 hours out of the house, so 2 hours they're happy. They're lifting bigger weights, they're doing bigger movements. It's an avenue for a small niche of people to train a small niche of people. But for me, I don't think it's an avenue I'll go down again. I openly talk about it online and to my clients that I don't love Zoom. I absolutely don't. But if it keeps them happy, I'm happy to do it. Like, already this time around, this is lockdown 3.
Yeah.
Like, for lockdown 1 and 2, I kept nearly all my clients. For lockdown 3, I've taken a big hit. People have kind of browned off with Zoom. They're kind of browned off and listened to WhatsApps and stuff. So for me, like, I only contacted someone else yesterday, a coach, an online personal coach, to help me move my business online a little more and have better systems in place. Because, like, I spoke to him, I said, I'm great talking to people, getting them in a group, chatting them, all that kind of stuff, but getting the same message across to people via WhatsApp or via email is not the same story. So again, I think people, when everything opens back up, will go back to gyms 100%.
Yeah, the personal touch is very important in that sense. Now we're in the first week of this year, and I know it feels like it's already been a year with what's going on, but it's obviously, the phrase is bandied about in conversation and online about the new year, the new me, and I'm sure you're getting messages left, right and centre in terms of clients looking for, advice in terms of what their major focuses will be, I suppose. And in terms of maybe myself, I'm a little bit overweight, hopefully getting married at some stage this year. What would you say is the biggest focus for me? Or, thanks very much. Hopefully get there. Supposed to be last year, but we'll get there eventually. What would the focus be on someone coming to you, say a client, prospective client, saying, it's a new year, new me, and you know that they're likely to fall off the wagon like most of us in 6 weeks. How do you motivate them? How do you go about generating a plan? How does this work for you? Because new year, new me is something that's bandied about and is a bit of a fad, but it's something that actually happens and there's an opportunity, I suppose, for you.
Yeah, well, first of all, I see a lot of personal trainers slating people, new year, new me, you should be in the gym 52 weeks of the year, it's not something you pick up. For me, that's bullshit, to be honest. I think it's a great chance for everyone to start fresh. Like, not everyone loves the gym or loves dieting, or not everyone's made to diet, so it's hard enough as it is. So you don't need someone putting pressure on you to be in the gym 52 weeks of the year, first of all, okay? Second of all, I think every single person is completely different. So, for example, what I tell people is find something, first of all, that you're going to enjoy and stick to, okay? I tell people, like I say, people are always like, you're doing a diet plan, you're doing a food plan. I'm like, no, because if you can't, you're not going to stick to a food plan for 4 weeks. If you can't stick to it for even 4 weeks, you're not going to stick to it for the next 6 months, okay? So, even if you do stick for 4 weeks, you're not going to learn anything. So, first and foremost, as I said, find an exercise you like, okay? So, whether it's boot camp, or whether it's outdoor classes, or whether it's couch to 5k, or whether it's cycle or jogging or running or golf, first and foremost, get that, enjoy it, and set it in stone. Then you have to look at your nutrition, okay, and say, right, how much am I willing to put in? How much work, okay? If you're someone that's like, right, I'm really ready to go for it, I'm like, right, teach yourself, or I'll teach you. What I do is 10 videos onto my clients. Tells them, talks about adherence, talks about calories, protein, steps. Because a lot of people are like, they hear trainers talk about calorie deficit and protein and all this stuff, but it goes over their head. So I send them 10 videos, they're about 3 to 4 minutes long, and it explains all this in layman's terms, okay? It breaks it down really easy. So then when I talk to them via Zoom or face-to-face, it's a lot easier. And if you understand nutrition and you understand where your start point is and how to get from A to B, B to C, C to D, then it's a lot easier. If you're just randomly dieting and randomly weighing in and not knowing what's going to happen, you're going to fail. You're going to set yourself up for a loss. So what I do with clients is teach them the basics and then get them to weigh in daily or weekly or whatever our plan is, and explain to them what's happening. Sometimes you're going to be up on the scale, sometimes you're going to be down. When you're up, it could be just to do a carbohydrate intake or water intake, or it could be you had alcohol that week. Sometimes you're going to be way down. That could be something to do with your mental cycle, especially with women. It's a little bit harder. There's loads of different avenues that you have to worry about. So everyone is individualised in their approach. Everyone's individualised in how the results are going to go. Like if I gave you and someone else your age and same height, the same food plan or the same program, you still get different results.
Really?
So don't expect just because you've seen someone lose 6 stone in 6 days on this skinny diet that you're going to lose the same. Okay, so everyone's completely different. So you need to find something you like, learn the basics of nutrition, and start putting work in and saying, right, I'm going to lose 1 pound. Okay, and then when I lose 1 pound, I'm going to say, right, that's 1 pound down. Whatever I've done to lose that 1 pound, I'm going to repeat it again. And you're going to do that, and you're going to get 2, and the next thing you'll be at 5 before you know it. You're like, you know what, I'm half a stone in nearly. I'm going to keep doing what I'm doing. When I hit a roadblock, then I come back to there and say, right, slow it down and say, right, maybe you need to be more active now, maybe to add an extra session, maybe to drop calories slightly, maybe to change your protein or whatever else. And that's where you go from. And you go from A to B. Instead of going from A to Z, from 1 stone to 5 stone down, you go 1 pound at a time, 2 pounds at a time, hit 3 pounds. And then also other people be like, weight kind of gets them up and down, and weighing scales can be an issue. So let's make it more performance based. So I'd say, right, eat well, I'll keep an eye on your foods for you, but let's see if you can get your couch to 5k done in 35 minutes this week, or let's see if you can get 4 workouts instead of 2 in this week, or can we try a new workout plan or do a home workout and make it more performance based as opposed to always on the scales, because that can be an issue, especially for women who yo-yo diet for 10, 20, 30 years. They kind of, and men, that's probably sexist to me to say, men are the same, they have the same issues, but you need to find everyone's kind of individualised in that respect.
I say that must be quite difficult in terms of yourself trying to identify maybe what first of all the person wants to achieve when they come to you, then I understand what their expectations are in terms of they're expecting maybe they're coming to you and they're expecting to lose 5 kilos, in a week or whatever it is, and then they come back to you in a week's time and 2 weeks time and they're not getting to where they want to be, and they're demotivated, and you're looking at them and say, this person's not going to come to me in the 3rd or 4th week. How do you stay motivated in terms of yourself? Because you're invested in these people, because as I says, you're about community, you get to know the people that coming in through your doors or coming to your camps. But how do you motivate yourself first of all, and then I suppose how do you adapt your motivation levels? Because some people need a hand around the shoulder and saying you'll get there, you're doing great, and other people I know like myself need a kick up the hole to keep moving. So how do you adapt and motivate yourself as opposed to get them people motivated as well?
Well, this actually comes from experience, actually, because I remember, especially when I first became qualified, when you leave college, you're not qualified to coach people. So the people I coached for those years, I probably gave them shocking service, thinking back on what some advice I've given. But from time and from experience and from learning and doing extra course and podcasts and all that kind of stuff, I now realise a lot more than I did. Still no expert by any means, but I know by what I get people to do, especially people who really want to lose weight or work with that on a one-to-one basis. They will send over to me their calories or their food they're eating daily. So before they weigh in, I'll know what they're on or what they're not on. Or if they're sending me over the calories and they're up 3.5 pounds, I know they're lying. Okay? So where before I used to get caught up in maybe this, maybe that. It comes with the experience of the job. I'll know straight off the bat if someone is lying to me, or if someone is saying they're eating this, not eating that, or saying their metabolism is broken, or they've got a thyroid issue. You don't. 99% of people don't have these issues. Some people do, absolutely, and the doctor looks after that. Okay, we don't look after that.
There goes my excuse.
Any trainer that says they do, they shouldn't be training people. Okay, so you get medicated for your thyroid, and then everything else looks after itself. Same if you have issues with B12 issues or whatever else. These are all issues that you go to your doctor about, not a personal trainer or gut health. We don't look after that. We can help, we can give some advice, but we're not doctors. And any trainer that says they know how gut health works, or they know how to fix your thyroid, your metabolism, they're talking absolutely out there. And we need to forget about that kind of stuff and bring them back to basics. Every time.
Yeah, so it's like one of the great things I find about following you and knowing how you work is you really do break it down into bite-sized pieces and make it as simple as it understand, because yourself, you're on Instagram, you're scrolling through, or you're reading a newspaper or magazine and you're looking at all the diets and all the training programs that are there. It can be overwhelming at times. Moving on, I'm looking at the last year again, and I know you guys put a lot of effort in up in the Oscar Trainer, putting outdoor marquees in place. You went online as well in terms of trying to reach out to your boot camp training. You invested money in hand sanitizers. You invested, a lot of time, a lot of money in making sure that the service that you provided was there for the community. And community has been something that I think, out of everything you've done, is something that's really stands out in terms of a key selling point for what you do and what you bring. And I think it goes back to starting off within your friends and family from where it was, and it seems to be something that's really important to you. And I suppose, what makes that so important to you and what you do?
To be honest, it's just something that has instilled me since I was young. Like, I always played in teams. Our family has always been close. I've always had really good friends. I've always had like close to me cousins, and to be honest, I just enjoy that part of it. I don't love the part where people get ready for a 6-week shred for a beta, or they lose a stone for Christmas. That's not the part I love. I love the part of going in every day and asking Natasha, how's your kids today? Did they get over that test? Or they were like, I've seen that picture of Gracie, she's so cute. Or like the amount of presents I got for Gracie and for Ollie and stuff, it's madness. Like, yeah. And that stuff hits home for me a whole lot more, because at the end of the day, 99% of personal trainers can get anyone to lose weight. Okay, it's a job. It's like someone that works in an office, or it's like a doctor doing a blood test. It's their job. It's not hard. It's not difficult. But what is hard is to build relationships, build trust, build a community, build a team. And that's something that takes like 3, 4, 5, 10 years. And like, you always hear trainers, be patient, and I'm always talking to my clients saying, be patient with your weight loss. And then I'm looking at trainers who are ahead of me, and they're like, be patient, keep doing it day in, day out, day in, day out. And if you do that for 2, 3, 4, 5 years, and be there for clients more than they need, over provide, give them extra sessions, be on the other end of the phone, let them jump in with other people, look after their family, give them the odd present here and there. It builds that community, it builds that trust, and when the chips are down, then they'll be there for you. Which last year, like when the lockdown came, I was like, what do I do now? Yeah. But I had my busiest year I've ever had as a personal trainer last year, and we're locked down 6 months out of 12. And that came from my clients being more than generous by sticking by me, even though my prices are not huge, they're high enough, and they're still paying the same prices even though they're in the Zoom class. And that meant a lot to me, and I never took that for granted. So when gyms opened, I made sure I did extra sessions, I made sure I was there for them, and made sure they could mix and match or be in with their group, with their friends, and always kind of look after them, because at the end of the day, they're paying for Gracie's nappies and they're paying for the roof over their head, and that's just the way it is. Like, with this job, it's pros and cons. Like, some people like a 9 to 5 with their hand at the end of the week. If I don't work hard, I don't have a relationship with family or with the clients, I don't get paid at the end of the week. So it's a bit of necessity, but it's a massive part of what I love.
And I think a lot of larger established gyms, if you know what I mean, and I don't want to name any names, could take a lot from what you've said there, in terms of, you invest in what you do and you know what you're doing, but you also give your time over to people outside of what you're doing, in terms of you get to know their daughter's name or their son's name, or you know what's going on in their family, and when they walk in your door whether or not they're going to have a good session or a bad session by just chatting to them in the first few minutes. And I think that's really what makes a big difference to what you're doing, how you've gone about establishing yourself in terms of coaching, fitness and all that. And I think what we've spoken over the last half an hour has been a real insight into where you come from, and you never really forget that. You're all about community. You're all about breaking it down into, for people who really, are coming to you for advice, but they don't want all the science behind it, but they might want necessarily, they trust in you that you know what you're doing, but you break it down, and that's what makes it so easy for the likes of me coming to you, or anybody coming to you. And that's what I would say. If people are out there thinking new year, new me, Darren's the guy to go for, because he will break it down, he will take you under his wing, and he will be there for you just as much as he was there for me and anybody else I know. Is there anything else, Darren, you'd like to say, I suppose, going into the new year, people to focus on? Obviously we're in a tough time at the minute, but is there anything else you want to add?
Yeah, well, like what I tell people is maybe to look at fitness in a different way this year. Okay, we always look at fitness in January as that losing the weight or that 6-week shred, and I've done it. This is the first year I haven't done a 6-week shred in January, because it's the big year, it's the big month, it's where you make all your money, it's where you get new clients in. And I just said this year, which could end up backfire, I said people have been through too much this year to go in January and start this 6-week shred, okay? I think fitness is moving away from that only losing weight to becoming a way of life. So I'm saying, instead of taking away, I done a post for this today, instead of your New Year's resolution taking chocolate away or taking beer away, why not add stuff in? Like I'm doing running at the moment. I'm not great at running, even though I've played sports my whole life. I'm not great at it, but I'm loving the challenge of it, and I'm loving that it's free. Like, I went today at like 3:15 till 4:45, and I was back in half an hour. Like, there was no messing around. Gracie and Sinead and the baby on the couch, didn't miss that, and I wasn't gone for 2 hours. Then, like, your food, like, stop thinking about restricting the whole time. Maybe before you start a diet, why not give yourself 2, 3, 4 weeks of eating really well and being as healthy as you possibly can, like building foundations of having good breakfast, good lunch, good dinners, trying to get 2 pieces of fruit in a day and 3 to 5 pieces of veg every day. So you can do that every day for 2, 3, 4 weeks, and then add in maybe protein source each meal. And then every week add in 2 to 3 litres of water every day. If you can do that, and then start to focus on getting your steps up slightly, and then after that start improving your sleep, then when it comes to the time you're on the diet, you're healthy, you're fit, you've loads of energy, you've good habits in place, then you're just manipulating numbers and it becomes easier. Because when you start this 6-week challenge, this diet, you're trying to be healthier and lose weight. You're trying to do it all at once. You're trying to up your training, lower your calories, focus on your foods. But if you can get a good knowledge and good habits stacked before you start a diet, you're much more likely to stick to it, and then you mightn't have to do it for as long. You might, after a few weeks, without counting the calorie, you could probably more than likely be down, because when you start feeling good, like, I'm not going to open those few beers tonight, or I'm not going to get that Chinese. I tell people, like, instead of getting that takeaway, why not have like a steak and have like some pepper sauce and have a glass of wine with it, instead of getting this big Chinese and you feel shit for 2 days after, and then you're having Dorito heat waves, whispers and all that kind of stuff. So why not have, what I like to do on a Saturday night is have a big steak, maybe put on some oven fries with it, some pepper sauce and have a glass of wine with it. And that's a treat. So I'm not sitting there eating me chicken, broccoli and rice in a hearse. I'm not eating a big McDonald's or a big Chinese that I'm stuffed for 2 days and feeling crap, but I'm still eating well, relaxing myself a little bit and reward myself a little bit. So maybe look at it that way, instead of always looking at fitness to restrict and to make it tired and lethargic and all that kind of stuff.
I think that's sound advice, and I think we'll all be hungry thinking of steaks now. Absolutely, steaks, and I'm feeling healthy already. So I suppose listeners out there won't have any excuse if they listen to this. They have no excuse. They know what they have to do, and they can find you on Instagram, and they can find you on Facebook as well, I believe, Darren. And there's loads of advice there. Go check Darren out, and you won't be disappointed.